Hello and welcome to Learn with Miss Louise. I am going to do a short video today just to explain to you my introductory lesson and explain some different activities that we do in the classroom. So if I put the sound on so that we can hear. Okay. So as you guessed, these are sounds at the seaside or at the beach. So I would initially say, okay, depending on, again, their ability, if they have zero English or they're really shy, I'll say, okay, what do you think? What can you hear? And I'll go through each item. So is it the sea? Is it a bird? Is it a ball? If they get the answer right, I'll say, yes, well done, it's a bird. This is a seagull, for example. So with phonics, I like to start right at the beginning and just get an idea of your child's ability, what they know, what they're not so sure of, what letters they can pronounce and what letters they struggle with, so that we can practice that in more detail. So really easy with phonics. We'll say the letter twice, the sound of the letter to be specific, and then we'll say what we see in the picture. For example, okay, snake, apple, teacup, puppy. And you'll notice that I also have actions for each of those letter sounds. And that's just simply because if a child is trying to read a word, they might forget the p sound, but depending on how they process information, they might remember the action to that letter sound, and then they'll think, oh, okay, it's a puppy. As an introductory lesson, if we're starting with the first letter in phonics, the sound for snake, I will then go on to begin the story of Snake in the Woods. And you'll notice all of my, a lot of my resources are from Twinkl. It's because they're amazing, they're really good. They're just so bright and colourful. And especially if you're working online, children really react to the colours, the interactive parts of the story as well, as you will see in a minute. So Snake in the Woods, I might start with, what can you see in the picture? Okay, so they might say, they might know the word snake, or they might know the word boy or girl. So that's what we'll start with. And then we introduce the characters of the stories. So this is Kit, and I'll usually say, hi, Kit, and then encourage your child to say the same. Oh, hi, Kit. And this is Sam. Oh, hello, Sam. And just get them used to saying different greetings when you're introducing the characters. Oh, hey, Mum and Dad. Just like this. So one day the family went out for a walk in the woods. And depending again on their level of understanding, I might speak very slowly. I might use actions, a walk in the woods. They had not gone far when Sam heard a strange noise. It was a sound. Okay, so you're encouraging the child to really listen, focus as well, because they're only young. They want to be as interested as possible. Kit and Sam went to look. There was a beautiful snake. It hissed again. So notice how I'm using the action, the sound, and we've got the picture of the snake in the story. This is another great one. So they're getting their magic writing finger and drawing around the snake to do the letter S. And a really good one, because we're on Zoom, so it's great. They can practice with the online drawing tools, so they can practice to draw the letter S. If you have an iPad, you can draw it with your finger, if you get that set up for your child, or they can draw with their mouse as well. So it's up to them, or with the magic writing finger, which is my favorite. So moving on, there'll also be a little song with my amazing singing voice, which is not too great, but children do love to join in. They can learn a song by the end of the lesson as well. And then one of my favorite parts of this presentation is that they have interactive games as well. So watch the snakes slither across the screen. If they have a S sound on their balloon, say the sound and do the action. Okay, so we're looking for the letter S, snake. If you see it, do the action and say the sound. Okay, so there it is, snake. That's not a S sound, is it? We need to be quiet. And so on and so forth. Okay, and yeah, we just carry on. There are more different activities throughout the presentation. So phonics is usually about 10 minutes of your lesson. So if you have just a 30-minute lesson, it's going to be 10 to 15 minutes of phonics, because that is really important to get their pronunciation correct when they are speaking, and also just to improve their all-round skills as well with reading, with being able to communicate correctly and using those letter sounds to create the words that they are reading as well and saying. So here, for example, we'll listen. And the person in the audio is sounding out those letters. What can you hear? And it's actually quite tricky for those younger learners. So I will give them a choice. Did you hear sun or cloud? Sometimes they might not get it, and that's fine. That's what they're learning to do, which is great. So you might give them a clue, say, oh, well, what's the first sound we hear? Oh, it's the S sound. Okay. Which word starts with the S sound? Oh, it's sun. Well done. And it will carry on like that for lots of different pictures. So after we do our presentation for this, we will then move on just to round up the phonics activities, do some sorting sounds. So in sorting sounds, we have a look here at some different pictures, and I'll say, okay, what can you see? Can you see something with the S sound? And hopefully they'll remember snake, because that was what the story was all about. Lots of children know the word sun, so that's usually what they go to as well. And then for the words that they don't know, they say, well, I'll say, okay, what can you see? What is left? Oh, so what animal is this? Oh, it's a dog. Ah, but dog doesn't have the S sound, so it doesn't go in the box. Okay, what else can we see? Ah, I can see some scissors. Does scissors start with the S sound? Scissors. Yes, it does. Well done. Let's put it in the box. And we'll go around selecting the correct items for the letter S. Okay, so that is our sort of introductory phonics lesson. Yeah, and then after this, I might go on to do a few more phonics activities. And it's just getting used to building a vocabulary. So if they have a very limited vocabulary, or again, if they are shy, you're just building that rapport, building a good communication so that they can get to know you and get to know some new words along the way, which is great. So this is a game here. Okay, what pictures can you see? Ah, I can see a frog. What sound can we hear with frog? What letter do we need? I can hear. Which letter is, that's the sound, and so on and so forth. If they're quite good at this, if they're a little bit better at their letter sounds, they can identify letter sounds easily, I might go on to the next level, which is joining those letter sounds to make a word. So I'll say, okay, what picture can you see? What can you see? I can see, oh, a dog. Okay, which word can we see that starts with the D sound? So at that point, children might want to circle their answer, or they might say, oh, the second one, like this. And then we'll practice reading it out together. Well done. So it's D-og, D-og, dog. And you're just slowly repeating those sounds in a slow order so that they can get used to hearing the word and the letters in that word, because it can be quite tricky if you're not used to it. Again, this is just another variation of what I did. We have all the levels for phonics as well, so it goes up in difficulty levels depending on your child's ability. It's all fun and games. Moving on, we will have a look at the tricky words. So these are words that you cannot really use phonics to sound out. For example, the word the, you cannot use your phonics to say the, otherwise it sounds weird. So if you're using phonics, you'll say the. Well, that's not correct. It's the word the. So we're not using our phonics to sound out these words. That's why they are called tricky words. So from the national curriculum in England and Wales, we go through these in year 1, year 2, and you have different, they're called common exception words. So you have different ones that you need to be able to read by the end of the year, for example. So a lot of these will be for year 1 spellings. And then we'll slowly move on to year 2 spellings as well. But there are obviously more. So we can do it by phonics level. So we're learning these first ones in phase 2. Then we're moving on to level 3, which will be the next ones, and we'll learn those together, and so on, level 4 and level 5, so that they're learning those words slowly as they are learning phonics, as they are learning their letters, which is really good just to have those hand in hand, because then they can go on to read a story. And I have a ton of stories. The reading scheme that I'm using, again, it's from Twinkle, and it's called Rhino Readers. They have books for all levels. So again, I'll just show you level 2. As you can see here in the collection, you've got level 2, level 3, 4, 5, and 6. And it uses what you've learnt in your phonics lessons. If we start off with 2A, for example, these will have the SATPIN sounds. So S, A, T, P, I, and N. There will be all those sounds put together to make a word. So sit, tip. So you've got a lovely, again, colourful book. You've got the same characters, so they'll say, oh, it's Kit and Sam again. Oh, lovely. So we know the character. So they have a sort of an awareness of the characters. And we'll come on to saying the sounds. So we'll practice the sounds that are in the story, practice some of the words together, and then some of the names for the characters as they already know. And then we'll go on. So lots of colour, lots of pictures. Again, it's very good for communication, for conversation, because you can describe what you see. So you'll try to read the word sit, sit. Oh, well, who is sitting? Who is sitting? Ah, Kit, Sam, and Mum are sitting. Who isn't sitting? Who is not sitting? Dad. Dad is not sitting. Dad is standing, or Dad is walking. And you're just getting your child to repeat those phrases, those sounds, those words, repeat, repeat, repeat everything that you hear, and try to interact as you see fit. So yeah, I think it's just a really lovely book. It get more difficult as the levels get higher. And yeah, there we go. So that's one example of our reading book. Onto the games. So if our learner is a little bit more established with their speaking and communication, if they can read a little bit better, even if they can't read but their communication is quite good, I might begin the lesson with a really good game to get to know them called All About Me. So we've got a string of different questions here that I will ask the child, or they can read the question and then answer it themselves. So first of all, I will roll the dice. Oh, what number can you see? So depending on the age, what number can you see? Oh, it's 3. Well done. Good job. And we'll move 3 points. So we'll zoom right in so that we can really read those questions clearly. And we'll go together, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so if they cannot read, I will read and ask them a question. Okay, something I do to stay healthy. Okay, what can I do to stay healthy? Maybe something I can eat. Maybe an activity. Maybe a sport. And you're just trying to help them to create an answer. They might just have a one-word answer, and that's fine. So if they say fruit or vegetables or running, I'll say, yeah, great. We can eat fruit. We can eat vegetables. We can go running, or we can run. So you're just getting them used to speaking and getting used to that conversation. Okay. So yeah, that's a really good game that I like to play with the kids. And they do tend to really enjoy it, and it just makes them relaxed in the lesson as well. And they get to know me, I get to know them. And so I get to know more about their ability and their level as well. Okay, if they're not as confident at doing this kind of game, or if they're super beginners and they just want to start off with very basic words and get to know something, I'll start off with a song. And depending on your child, some children love songs, they love singing them, they love listening to them and doing the actions of the songs. Some of them absolutely hate it, and that's fine. I will take that into consideration when getting to know them. So if they do like songs, great, it's really useful to learn different words and vocabulary through song. So in a lesson about food, for example, or asking the question, what do you like? I will often play this song, which is one of my favorites. It's the Do You Like Broccoli Ice Cream song. So I'll play the song, we'll sing this song together. It's just a little snippet.
Do you like broccoli? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Do you like ice cream? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Do you like broccoli ice cream?
Oh, no way.
No, I don't. Yucky.
And then we're going to incorporate those words that we've just learned, I like, I don't like, into a game about food board game, because he doesn't like that. So we're also introducing a few more words. So not just I like and I don't like, I love, or I really like, and then down here, I hate. And just having those actions and the pictures as well, just to enforce learning. So again, we will roll the dice. Oh, we got number 1. Okay, let's zoom in. We start at the beginning. Let's go. 1. What is it? Not sure? It's cheese. Oh, cheese. Do you like cheese? And then you'll get them say, yes, I do. No, I don't. Maybe. I like it a little bit. So again, just encouraging that language. And then we might move on to getting to remember those specific words and the specific vocabulary for different food items. So here, fun little game, shadow matching. So what fruit? This is all about fruit. What fruit do you think this is? Is it a banana, a pear, a lemon? Correct, it's a lemon. Well done. And so on. Okay. Yeah, so that's about it for the introductory lesson. We might also go on to read a traditional tale. For example, The Three Little Pigs, very popular favourite. Lots of people know this story, but not everybody. So when they do get to read this book, it's obviously a classic. It's very funny, quite enjoyable. And if they are good at reading, I'll encourage them to read it on their own, to have a go. We can read page by page, so they can have a turn. and I will have a turn reading and we'll read it together, and I can encourage them to, or give them tips about how to improve their reading. For example, when we get up to the wolf, we can see, oh, there's quotation marks, there are speech marks here. So that means that somebody's talking. Well, we need to use our voices and we need to pretend to be the characters. So, oh, he's saying, little pig, let me come in, he snarls. So that's the big bad wolf talking. Well, we should have a different voice for the little pig, shouldn't we? Because he's a bit scared. He's not very angry, he's scared. So he might say, not by the hair on my chin, 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 cried the first little pig. And if they're not confident in reading, again, I would be reading the story for them. But in later, if I just go up to here, in later lessons, so once they have an understanding of the story, we would go on to sequencing cards. So there's, even if they are good readers, even if they are not, it doesn't matter. You're getting them to practice retelling the story in their own words, which can be quite challenging. So we usually have this towards the end of this segment of learning the story. So when we are reading, I might start off with, it's called a hook. So something to sort of get the child interested or curious about what we're going to be reading for the week or for the lesson. So I'll have some different pictures here. I'll say, okay, what do you think our story might be today? Let's have a look at the pictures and see if we can guess what it is. So, okay, what can you see? It's a cooking pot. That's a funny looking cooking pot. It's quite old. I wonder why it looks like that. I don't have one like that, do you? And we'll move on to the next picture. Oh, a chimney. So lots of children might get chimney and roof mixed up, and that this is a really great picture to explain. So this is the chimney. Get my little pointer out. This is the chimney. Okay. This part here is the roof. I see. So you can explain the differences. And again, you've got the words there so that they can read along with you if they can. We've got a big bad wolf. Okay, there's a big bad wolf in our story. That's interesting. What else can we see? What's that? Bricks. Bricks. Oh, bricks. Bricks. What do we use bricks for? We use them to build houses. Okay, good, well done. And we'll just carry on like that with all of the pictures. And so once they've read the story, they've got an idea of the language used, we'll go over the vocabulary for the story and check that they know and understand and can make a sentence with all of the words in the story. So that is where our word map comes in. And then we might play some games to just break up the learning a little bit. Okay, let's play I Spy. I spy with my little eye something that is brown. What can you see that is brown? Or if their phonics or reading is more advanced, you might say something beginning with B or something beginning with B. Again, you're just, or I'm just engaging this child based on their level of understanding and what they know and what they don't know. Something else, spot the difference. So spot the difference between the two pictures. What can you see that is different? This is, again, really good to have the drawing tool. Although, again, I do prefer the children to, in this case, not use the drawing tool too much because I want them to be verbal and communicate what they can see. Because a lot of the time, the children might go, oh, 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. I was like, well, what can you see? And they'll say, oh, well, I've circled it, it's here. But you want them to communicate what they can see to practice their English. And of course, not to forget, we've also got my own creation, Marley the Dog Detective, written by myself, and all the illustrations were done by my brother. If you do join the lessons, we can read my story together. So again, it would be a matter of both conversation and reading and understanding what is happening in the story. So for example, what can you see on the front page? Oh, I see a dog, I see a strawberry, I see a mouse. The dog is wearing glasses and a funny little hat. Okay, what do you think the story might be about? So this one's quite simple because it's got it in the title, The Dog Detective. Oh, maybe the dog is a detective, but maybe they don't know what the word detective means. So that's when you can start to explain, oh, a detective is a little bit like a policeman and he will try to solve crime. So then we'll move on to the story itself and have a go at reading. Sometimes I might get pages in the material that I'm reading with the child that might be a little bit small, so not a problem. I'll usually ask them, can you see, is that too big, is that too small? And I'll zoom into the words, the writing, if they can't see it. But yeah, and then we'll just go through the story. Mouse. So I was talking to one of my students the other day about this, explaining what a lollipop man or a lollipop lady is in England. So it's a person that stands outside a school or by an area that has a lot of children coming out of school, and they will stop the traffic with their lollipop stick to let people cross the road. So that was a really good talking point for my lesson as well. They will get an option of what they might like to read so that they feel more like they've had the choice. It's their lesson. They can choose what they want to do. Okay, so thank you for listening. That is all about my introductory lesson. See you later.